We are looking at Liiv SANDBOX, and they say, you know, we're really relying on JiMin to be able to kind of shoulder check for us, everyone that comes by. Now, JiMin used to be the item ace, now the hybrid player, ever since they brought in.
Yeah, and I feel like JiMin as the item ace is a perfect, from going from item ace to hybrid is a perfect switch. Is you see now it's the rainy season. It seems like there will be a lot of thunder today, perhaps in item mode. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a chance. I mean, we've seen KWANGDONG FREECS.
KWANGDONG FREECS looking as good as ever here, undefeated in last season's head-to-head. Will they continue their win streak against the revamped Liiv SANDBOX? So maybe even throwing a little bit of shade there at the former LSB roster, saying that this one's even better. You know, we could see in solo speed and KDF just saying, we'll do our best.
Yeah, just nice and simple. Obviously, that's kind of the model that you would want as a pro team.
Bring up with Daldda, the new item ace. But it's going to be good to see what Liiv SANDBOX has to offer.
Yeah, and we do have Liiv SANDBOX winning the coin flip, and they chose speed priority, bringing us the very first round of this matchup. It begins on WKC Singapore Circuit. What do they have planned against the KWANGDONG FREECS as we kick off speed mode in round 1 on WKC Singapore Circuit? And the race begins. Wilcho and State here bringing you the action as we do see KWANGDONG FREECS trying to shoot ahead, but HyunSu's not making it too easy for him.
Oh man, Cool had such a great start there for the FREECS, just immediately sweeping to the left side and slowing down 2 LSB players. Fantastic stuff for him. That's going to allow KDF to consolidate a little bit here at the front of the pack now, and you see that with Spear in first place, World and Cool contesting top 4 as well.
Yeah, curious to see if part of this is just trying to make things a little bit easier for ByungSu, right? He's a player who showed a lot of promise in preseason 1 back when he was on Sensation. Liiv SANDBOX has picked him up as that speed ace. Ooh, as we see a little bit of a collision there on the wall from SUNGBIN. But he's had a little bit of trouble trying to play aggressively in these team matches, and now with the wider tracks, you can try to play your own race a little bit calmer.
Yeah, a little bit easier to play your build here as ByungSu. As he falls all the way back to 8th place, would not be surprised to see him start to pass some racers here as we enter almost lap number 2. And for now, LSB very solid there at the front. Neal and JiMin both in first and second place. He World trying to draft, trying to find a line. He does have 2 blue nitros, so should have enough speed gauge to potentially pass both these racers. But man, Neal with an excellent body check is not going to let that happen as LSB just continuing to hold on.
Yeah, I mean, I know they said in their bio that they're relying on JiMin's shoulders, but Neal's shoulders are just as wide as the entire track as he's trying to block off both players of KWANGDONG FREECS. Now World finally trying to get ahead and challenge JiMin for that #1 spot.
Yeah, Neal did miss that last connection there with World, so he falls back into 4th place, but there still is a lot of sweeping potential here as he passes SUNGBIN, at least for a moment.
Yeah, just avoids that collision a little bit, trying to play safely. Oh, and a nice timing he finds as Cool was trying to guess which way Neal's going to pass. Neal just says, well, I'm 1 step ahead of you. Now he's trying to get that draft timing to catch up against SUNGBIN. It's going to be coming up once again.
Yeah, with ByungSu and HyunSu right now in 7th and 8th place, there is a ton of pressure here on JiMin and Neal to come away with a 1-2 or at least a 1-3 finish and hope that the remaining players for LSB can try and gain some ground. But with a finish line 400 meters away, I don't think it's going to happen, Will.
Yeah, there was an opportunity. What we noticed as you were mentioning the wind conditions here for SANDBOX was that Neal purposely saves up and times his boost so the number's kind of locked in 7th and 8th. It's always a rough time. Eventually, you do see HyunSu had picked things up back up. Curious to see if it continues in round 2 as we go over to KWANGDONG FREECS' choice of Village Boom Hill Tunnel.
Here we go on Village Boom Hill Tunnel. FREECS up 1-0, able to deliver the 3rd round loss in speed mode here against Liiv SANDBOX. Let's see if they can keep up that momentum.
Yeah, we did see ByungSu just getting blocked out a little bit, so he takes the left side just to make sure he can maintain his momentum, and that allows him to try to catch up.
And Neal again with the body blocks there on SUNGBIN for the longest time there on that long turn. Just really creating so many problems. But ooh, look at that ricochet there on the back.
Yeah, I mean, World just shoved out 2 players in a row from Liiv SANDBOX, basically forcing them to bounce out even further, wider on their drifts. And now World confidently keeping hold of that 3rd place spot. He's fighting against JiMin. He's doing a pretty darn good job of blocking him out.
Yeah, but behind all this, Neal did fall back into 2nd place, and you see him with his tight inner line trying to find an angle here against SUNGBIN, but he just keeps colliding. He hasn't actually been able to break ground, and even there on the wider track, you know, he tried to do it. Oh, actually, no, SUNGBIN!
Jimin!
He went for the greedy line, but he missed it. Now Neal uncontested here in first place.
Yeah, the build on the rail. Most players have been taking that recently, but we do see SUNGBIN falling far back. Meanwhile, Jimin in 7th place, but they still have SUNGBIN locked in 8th. So Liiv SANDBOX, they have a couple options, and right now, the best one is that they're holding on to the 1-2 between Neal and ByungSu.
Yeah, ByungSu and Neal just playing their game right now as they make SUNGBIN pay for that critical mistake. He tried to take the greedy line, go off that rail.
Reeling build. However, SUNGBIN, he takes a bit of a wider angle off the jump.
Now we are all tied up 1-1, Will. Liiv SANDBOX versus the FREECS. Getting ready to move to track number 3. It will be played on World Tour Terracotta Twister.
Tied 1-1 in this rematch of the preseason 1 finals. It is Liiv SANDBOX and KWANGDONG FREECS here on Terracotta Twister as we see Spear just shooting forward, holding on to that number 1 spot in lap 1.
Yeah, Spear were having a very clean breakaway there, as I guess there might have been a little bit of sweeping on both sides here for LSB and the FREECS. That's a significant lead this early on, man.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably one of the wider leads we've seen in lap 1. Of course, Terracotta Twister, once you get into the tube section, there is that opportunity as everyone is going to lose a little bit of speed around these corners. And we do see actually 2, 3, 4 for Liiv SANDBOX. They've all caught up, and everyone just trying to avoid any aggressive collisions here in lap 1.
Yeah, a bit of a collision does have ByungSu fall all the way back to 6th place, but not too bad as he's now only maybe an extra half of a second behind his teammates Neal and HyunSu right now, who are trying to set up the 2v1 here against Spear, and you see them with these drafts just continuously getting closer and closer as we enter lap number 2.
Yeah, and ByungSu trying to provide support as well, but so is the entire team of KWANGDONG FREECS. This one's a tough one as we enter lap 2. No clear team breaking away. Oh, but JiMin and ByungSu, they get caught in another bit of a collision around the corner, and now all eyes on HyunSu and Neal once again to try to make something happen for Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, but it's so hotly contested here at the front, and the KDF, they have so many bodies. Spear, World, and Cool all creating problems here. You see World trying to push HyunSu into the wall as best he can. HyunSu was able to avoid that, but also Spear blocking him out. And now with 2 players of KDF in front of him in this intersection, we could see some pretty nice sweeping, and actually no, it's going to be a collision with a wall that has LSB falling back.
Yeah, to 1, 2, 3, and ByungSu, he's trying to just stay ahead. He does slow down cool enough for Neal to pass, but here's the thing, you've still got HyunSu and JiMin all the way at the back of the line. It's not going to be enough as we enter the final 500 meters. The 1-2 punch is way too far ahead between World and Spear as they cross the finish line and bring another round win for the KWANGDONG FREECS.
Man, we saw Spear take that lead so early on and never really give it up. Misstep on a track like this one can be fatal, and indeed it was. That was enough to deliver the win there for KDF. Let's see if they can close it out here in speed mode, up 2-1 as we move on to Glacier Extreme Stadium. Match point now for the KWANGDONG FREECS as they look to make Liiv SANDBOX bleed even more, as LSB, they have been so solid in team speed throughout the duration of KDL Season 2, but oh, man, the FREECS, they're just something else.
Yeah, and once again, Cool holding on to that number 1 spot. Neal tried to contest for it, but that's been the story of speed mode so far tonight between these 2 teams. KDF, they take the lead, and they haven't been letting go of it.
Yeah, Cool right now solidly in first place. You can see Neal trying to chase him down, and for SUNGBIN, really their goal right here is just going to be sweeping and trying to make sure that Cool can play his build completely uncontested, because if he's able to get a little bit more distance there on Neal, I mean, this could just be rank 1 being locked up by the KDF. And as we've seen for LSB so far in the previous tracks, as we proceed through these hairpin turns, they've really struggled to have a lot of players in contention for something like a 2-3-4 finish. Right now, a little bit better here in track number 4, but still a commanding position for KDF should SUNGBIN be able to shore up the flank.
Now, in terms of the internal order and placings right now for Liiv SANDBOX, it's not so bad. Give ByungSu the lead, make sure he can get 1 or 2. Neal's behind to try to adjust, and then you've got either HyunSu or JiMin to basically lock down Spear in 8th place. That gives you a lot more options to work with. Let's see if JiMin's able to hold on to that 7 and be that gatekeeper.
Yeah, but SUNGBIN and World right now causing problems. They recognize that this is a win condition here for LSB in the final lap, as LSB, they were desperately trying to hold on to that 2-3-4 now down just 1 point, as HyunSu and JiMin there in position 6 and 7 are going to have to try to do their best to close the distance here coming into the hairpins. Yeah, Neal takes the first turn quite well, still being able to block out World, and he does it yet again, but still a 1-point lead for KDF.
Yeah, he tried to get a couple of stops and he was successful. They weren't strong enough, and now a bit of a shuffle, but it's still going to be a lead for Guangdong FREECS as we see basically Liiv SANDBOX not able to escape that 6th, 7th position. Sure, they kept SUNGBIN in 8th, but that's all they got as Guangdong FREECS. They will be able to close things out here in round 4 with a 3-1 score in speed mode.
Yeah, Spear with the 5th rank was just able to do enough all the way in the back ranks as we look at the spread right now. 1-3-5-8 here for KDF. Cool even setting a new record as his teammates gave him so much breathing room. Not doing so hot anymore. They get their first set loss of the season.
Yeah, curious to see if they're...
There's a lot of different approaches that you can have here on a variety of tracks as we look at the item track list here for main stage. Match number 18. Liiv SANDBOX will have priority here. They're going to choose Factory Cogwheel Crush as track number 1. Liiv SANDBOX, they need to win this item mode though if they want to force an ace match here against the Guangdong FREECS. As we move to track number 1, it will be Factory Cogwheel Crush.
And the race begins. Item mode between Liiv SANDBOX and Guangdong FREECS. Daldda coming in as that item ace for Liiv SANDBOX. Can he make the right calls to bring them a victory here?
Would love to see it as Cogwheel Crush, one of the more complicated tracks that we have here in item mode. A lot of obstacles like this big sweeping mechanism right here we got some blockers up ahead too, some banana machines. A lot of tricky tracks here in lap number 1, lap number 2 on Cogwheel Crush, and we'll see how these players decide to play around those things as Liiv SANDBOX, Daldda, and JiMin. For now in the lead, SUNGBIN with a boost will be able to close the distance as JiMin pops the shield, but with a magnet also slowing him down. Would not be surprised to see KDF start to close the distance.
Yeah, he's not going to be sitting too far forward, but as it goes, especially on this track and generally in item mode. Now, most importantly, we do have a couple boosts lined up. Not something that you'll necessarily have to save, but curious to see. Oh, they actually shove out Spear there into the shortcut.
Yeah, and 3 players for LSB were all able to take that shortcut as well. So not only did Spear get denied, but that's 75% of the team here for LSB who was able to, skip a significant portion here of the track. So their front line is going to be a lot stronger here at 3v2. ByungSu, JiMin, and Daldda versus World and Spear.
Yeah, ByungSu just accurately reading that the water bomb's coming because he sees World right behind him also sitting against that wall. Now, right now we do see KDF. They're always trying to have someone hang back for these water bombs. Does it hit? No, Daldda avoids it once again.
This is looking really good for Liiv SANDBOX though, man. They have 3 players here in the front racks. Every single one of them has a nitro. They have 2 angel shields also in the bag here on the final lap. I would not be surprised to see them hold on to those for an extended period of time. Meanwhile, KDF, they're all in the lower ranks.
Yeah, and of course, a lot of these players have gotten better with the instant boost as well ever since the kind of timing change from the balloons that you have off of those water wisp and water bombs. Now, ByungSu still with that angel shield and the boost. Now, magnets, though, double magnets on the side of Guangdong FREECS. It's a bit of a rock, paper, scissors game here between Liiv SANDBOX and Guangdong FREECS.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how it plays out as we're entering the final 500 meters of this trek right now. ByungSu still in first place, but only has a shield and an angel shield. Angel shield does get popped for Liiv SANDBOX as ByungSu continues to race away. Not enough speed, but doesn't matter, man. Just needs the defensive items as his teammates were able to shore up the flank, and ByungSu and JiMin for Liiv SANDBOX able to deliver the track 1 win.
So you're actually just saying, okay, well, I'm going to make that magnet useless. I'm not going to allow you to try to catch up to me as we go over to their choice here in round 2, getting ready for Mine Magma Cavern.
And here we go on the ever-dangerous Mine Magma Cavern, a very fun map. One of my favorite maps here in item mode, as there are a lot of segments where, with rockets spinning players out, you can force them off the track into the lava. There are a lot of narrow areas as well, where you can set up water balloons, too. We've seen that in KDL Preseason 1 a bunch, with teams trying to set up, wombo combos and catch their opponents heading in towards that final finish line. I can't wait to see what these teams have cooked up specifically for this track.
Yeah, now Lightning Bolt nice and early here for Spear. Do they take a page from Aura's book and say, okay, well, let's keep that for insurance? Curious to see. I mean, I think it's worth keeping maybe, towards that up until the end of lap 2 and then say if we can't stack it, let's just use it for tempo. So you have a couple options here for Guangdong FREECS.
Yeah, I like that idea, and I would not be surprised either to see Spear just kind of hold on to that, even with Cool holding on to a second one. I mean, if you have 3 Lightnings heading into lap number 3, yeah, you're not going to be able to... Oh, they actually do right right now as Spear picks up a second.
It's lined up, and guess what? Liiv SANDBOX was praying for thunderstorms tonight, but it's going to be in favor of GWANGDONG FREECS and SANDBOX. They're going to have to start finding answers. They find one Angel Shield, but that's not enough against 3 of these Lightnings getting ready here for GWANGDONG FREECS.
Yeah, and so now for SUNGBIN and World, you know, the game plan has to be setting up with, you know, Nitrous and Magnets and maybe a Shield or an Angel Shield, because Spear and Cool, between the two of them, they only have really, I guess, 2 item slots available. Both of them are going to hang on to Thunderbolts. They did use one of them just now.
Yeah, it draws out that Angel Shield, but you know what? Thankfully for Liiv SANDBOX, they're able to get one more. Daldda does recycle into a second one. So still a couple options with another Lightning Bolt now ready.
Wow.
Another triple for GWANGDONG FREECS. Liiv SANDBOX just cannot escape the clouds but the sky tonight.
Yeah, and that's going to cause another Lightning to rotate out. So KDF, they're happy just to hold on to 2 of them, and that's going to be cool all the way to the flank. And they got another one there on Spear. That must be the 5th Lightning Bolt they picked up so far here on this track. Is the Thunder Gods are favoring them. Zeus smiles brightly here on the GWANGDONG FREECS.
Here comes 1, here comes 2, and 3, and HyunSu is just stuck in the middle of the track. He cannot move. Shield on for World as he crosses the finish line. Boy, oh boy, was SANDBOX right. It is absolutely rainy season.
Like something out of Greek mythology, just the skies, raining hellfire here.
As we get ready for round number 3, we go to Factory Brody's Gloom. And it's the GWANGDONG FREECS bringing us to yet another factory track here in item mode as they try to see if they can continue gaining more rounds, close this out in a 2-0 fashion.
Yeah, it's 2 tracks away now for both these teams. GWANGDONG FREECS 2 tracks away from a 2-0 win. Liiv SANDBOX 2 tracks away from forcing what would be an incredibly hype ace match between the top 2 teams here in the KDL preseason 2.
Yeah, and we're just seeing, of course, everyone trying to cycle through any of the kind of single target attacks you have, see what else you can gain. And Daldda will barely make it across here before potentially getting stuffed. Lots of bananas in action today here on Factory.
I think Simon just bananaed Cool, if I'm not mistaken.
Maybe. We have seen some mishaps in item mode so far here in preseason 2.
Yep, as we get a nice picture-in-picture look to see exactly where things line up, it seems like, no, for Daldda and ByungSu, there isn't a lot of reinforcements coming anytime soon with both JiMin and HyunSu all the way there in the black now. Or back, excuse me, is JiMin here with the Magnet, should be able to close the distance somewhat, and now it's Liiv SANDBOX who's starting to save up the Lightnings. HyunSu there in 8th place, does have one in the bag. They would love to add on to that here in lap number 2.
I mean, yeah, if you can, absolutely, right? You already have one, might as well. If not, at least try to get more of those missiles and wisps, right? Something that targets, something that forces those shields to come out.
Yeah.
HyunSu, meanwhile, will use that boost to shoot forward. They're actually going to use a lot of their other items to try to start cycling through, make sure they get some of their own defensive maneuvers as well.
Yeah, not a lot of big attacks here. We do have Angel Shields coming out on both teams, 1 apiece. Liiv SANDBOX, HyunSu still the only player on the field with a Lightning Bolt as some Water Wisps now come in. HyunSu will be able to pop that shield, but the Water Wisp will catch him because of that. And now Liiv SANDBOX with 3 racers here entering the latter portion of this track. EMP as well for HyunSu, so HyunSu in a nice supporting role.
Yeah, that EMP is going to be huge because Spear right now with the Magnet and boost trying to vie for an opportunity. He's trying to line himself up for both. The Wisp does get shielded. ByungSu and JiMin trying to shoot forward. JiMin bites the Magnet. He draws the aggro, but the UFOs all get denied here as Spear just flies through and crosses the finish line.
That was like an alien invasion, man. There were like 2 or 3 UFOs coming in.
And all right, they're trying to say we are still the defending champions here in the KDL, of course, just in the preseason so far. Again, the timing missed a little bit. Can they recover from that in round 4 as we go over to Mine Motherlode? GWANGDONG FREECS on the verge of closing things out by taking a victory in both speed and item mode. Liiv SANDBOX wanting to answer back. JiMin actually not able to get the double items. He's just going to have to sit with a single Magnet for now here in lap 1.
Yeah, no double item, just the Magnet now as HyunSu popping a Magnet of his own. Will be able to work his way into first place and with some shields, eat up a little bit of aggro now as we have a lot of racers coming through in this shortcut. Is shields have been coming through clutch for a lot of these players. Oftentimes at the very start of these rounds, we have so many missiles connecting, but it feels like everything is getting deflected on both sides.
Man, JiMin just has no luck with the items today. He tried to slow down to pick up another one, and he just passes it before they spawn. So he's going to have to wait for another set of items for an opportunity to try to cycle through.
Yep, and here we go now. SUNGBIN in first place. Spear right behind him is JiMin actually with incredible speed there on that Magnet, and then slowing down to avoid the water balloon. Nicely played by him. So another shield gets popped, that missile also gets deflected. A lot of aggro getting soaked up by JiMin, who now has 2 EMPs.
I mean, JiMin's basically kind of clocking in for all the items he missed in lap 1, trying to cycle through. Now a bit of a banana just to throw some chaos in lap 2, but of course we've still got a little ways to go here on this track.
About halfway through the track now is things still looking very even. You know, the lineup here, as we see all the racers past SUNGBIN, who got slowed down yet again, is quite fair, you know? Liiv SANDBOX, Daldda, and JiMin, yes, they are here in the front, but KDF with 3, 4, 5.
Yeah, and here with the EMPs and a lot of these Angel Shields starting to get stacked up as well, I think what's going to end up becoming more important is going to be the boost rather than a lot of these attacks that some teams like to save up. Sure, you have the Lightning Bolt currently saved up for SUNGBIN, but we do see Angel Shields on both sides, EMPs being saved up by Liiv SANDBOX as well.
Yeah, 3 EMPs right now on the field here for Liiv SANDBOX is going to be pretty much immune, but SUNGBIN with double Lightning is a very dangerous situation here, as KDF might be able to make some magic happen with Thunder yet again on lap number 3.
Yeah, they're going to look to make sure it happens because World's lined up with the Magnet. He actually gets water bombed, though, as he tries to use it, so he's not going to be able to take advantage of that one. Daldda currently with more shields being saved up. He should be able to defend himself. The water bomb as well. I mean, sure, we're watching ByungSu being stuck right now, but Daldda's all the way ahead. He still is able to shield away from that. Oh, no, he actually gets hit by the Lightning Bolt.
Oh, the Lightning Bolt connects, and now it's going to be World. EMP pops, so the UFO gets taken out, but the missile does connect, and now it's actually Spear with a missile who connects, and he's going to spin his way into first place. KWANGDONG FREECS with a 3-1 victory here in item mode will secure the 2-0 win as they remain undefeated.
Man, in the previous match of the night, we saw Jong blocking everyone on that narrow ramp, but this time Spear says, we're not making the same mistake. I am just going to fall off the ramp to make sure that I avoid that collision. So despite getting hit by the missile at the end, it actually just barely pushes him over the finish line. And it's going to be KWANGDONG FREECS taking the win in both speed and item mode.
Very good round differential, taking out potentially their strongest opponent here in KDL Preseason 2 round robin portion, now moving up to 5-0 overall. Especially after you retool and rekit the same way that Liiv SANDBOX has with their roster shuffle from KDL Preseason 1 to KDL Preseason 2. And, you know, we still have a lot of maps left to be played, a lot of games left to be played here remaining in KDL Preseason 2 before we head to that postseason for both these teams. So, you know, Liiv SANDBOX, look to see them continue to improve upon that chemistry, work better as a team. And, you know, this team, although they did lose here to the FREECS, they're 4-1 still overall. So they have a ticket to the postseason almost all but assuredly. And I would not be surprised to see them make leaps and bounds of improvements between now and then.